instead of only buying and holding, I buy and I sell. Well, hey, what's up you guys? Lukas here from excelwealth.com. Now, in today's video, I actually want to talk to you about how you can make that $1, how you can make it into 10. Let's talk about this. So $1 needs to turn into $10. The first thing is you got to see it like this. This is not about a quick money scheme. We're not going to talk about how you're going to buy a lottery ticket and make that $1 lottery ticket into 10 or even more. I'll tell you this, it's not super fancy. It's about the boring stuff. It's about buying and holding. Now, in other videos, I've talked about buying and holding, but this is the more interesting thing because there is a difference to this. There is a strategy to it. You got to understand making money by investing it is never fast, but the person with the longest breath are the ones who win over time. And that's why it's so important. Because every time when I go to work, when it's not in a certain crisis time, of course, together with my colleague downstairs just below the office where we actually work, there's a Starbucks and it's super busy in the morning. Every time when we go to work, every time the Starbucks is filled with people. It's a cup of coffee. It's a $5 cup of coffee. But I don't see it like that. You know, the thing is, I don't see the cup of coffee worth of $5 right now. It's a different thing because the moment you have the cup of coffee, it's also your instant gratification being fulfilled right away. Next to, if you make your own coffee, all of a sudden in the morning you would take it along to work, that's maybe like, I don't know, 30 cents, which is a great thing. That way you can save almost like, almost 10 times as much if it's 50 cents, of course, but it's not. It's like 30 cents if you make a cup of coffee yourself. Now, it's not about saving money. This $5 you can invest, and if you invest this amount of money for 30 years to come, and currently we're only talking about buying and holding, okay? So it's buy and hold. You gotta really understand like this. So you're buying stocks, and we're not talking about which stocks, and I'm actually using for this example, I'm using the S&P 500 because the S&P 500 is a very nice, relevant index fund to show to you, hey, what is my money doing over time? And if we put that in, the $5, and we wait 30 years, that $5 turns into $50. The $5 turns into $50 in 30 years. Now you might be thinking, hey, but we got inflation. Don't worry, we've got inflation covered as well. This is already corrected for inflation. So in 30 years time, your $5 turned into $50. Now most likely, a cup of coffee in 30 years time is not worth $50. It might change. It might be a $10 coffee. This is why investing the money you have is a very good idea. Same goes for your $1. So the moment you invest your $1, the only strategy that you apply is buying and holding for 30 years to come, then yes, your $1 turns into 10. Already corrected for inflation. So yes, your buying power is all of a sudden a lot more. And this is how you can start by turning your $1 into 10. Now you might be thinking, 30 years, yes, but I kind of want to have that cup of coffee right now. Well, I get it, and you should. But like I said, you can create that coffee, you can make that coffee by yourself. Take it from home, take it with you, and then you can take it along, and you can still drink it at work, in the office, nice and hot. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but I want to have a fancy flavor. Well, you can make your own fancy flavors at home. Buy a bottle of caramel, or for example, and then put it in your coffee. And yes, I get it. Sometimes it's for the experience. I'm not saying you to be a stingy person. I'm saying you got to be smart, and you got to start investing your money so that time will help you to increase it. So we're talking about the S&P 500 and the strategy of buying and holding. And I'll get to both of these strategies in a bit. So the first thing that I want to discuss with you is why. So why do I choose the S&P 500? It's very simple. You got to see it like this. When we take a look, so currently it's 2020, but we don't have all the numbers of 2020 yet. Just because the year is not over yet, right? So when we compare this, so 2019 January, and we go to 2020 January in the same month. So in the same month, there was a growth in S&P 500, which was 28.88%. There was a growth in that year, which is a huge. Now we're not looking within a year itself. If we take a look in 2020 itself right now, it's currently June. In those 6 months, in the past 6 months, a lot has happened, but we're not looking at that, okay? So we're just looking at over 1 year. So when we look at January 2019 till 2020 January, we see a growth of 28.88% growth, which is a great thing. But hey, like I said in this example, $1 turning into $10, that's absolutely not 28%. That's correct. We'll get to that in just a bit. So if we take a look, in 2008, same period, January to January 2009. If you would have bought in 2008, you would have used your $1. If you would have cashed out in 2009, you would have made a loss of 38.49%. 38.49%. That was the housing bubble popping real hard. S&P 500 doesn't say that it's always growing each year. But when we take a look in 2011, same time period again, January, so we're talking about January, till 2012, there was no growth at all. So you could have put in your money, your $1 in 2011, January, and you waited a full year in 2012, nothing happened to your money. Nothing. It stayed the same. It started the same. It went some up and down in that same year, but in the end, it ended at the same place where it started in January 2011 to 2012. When we take a look at this, S&P 500, is it a representative index fund for the rest of the world? The answer is yes. But if we take a look at these numbers, you might be thinking, oh goodness Lord, we've got minus 38%, but we always got plus 28%. We even have years that we have 0% of growth. Well, what's the average? When we take a look at the last 70 years, so 1950 to 2020, the average growth of the S&P 500 has been 8.93%, which is almost 9% in average. When we take a look at these numbers, the 0% in 2011, the minus 38% in 2008, and of course the huge leap in growth in 2019. Now, I'm not talking about trying to predict the market. The only thing is, if we take a look at the last 70 years, an average growth of almost 9% per year, which is a great thing. And this is why we tend to use the S&P 500 to make a reference to how much percentage your money could grow over time. Now, in this case, if you use the S&P 500 and you correct it for inflation, you'll get this number. $1 can turn into $10 in 30 years' time. So you're leaving it in for this amount of money, for this amount of interest, you leave that in for 30 years. The only thing is, like I said, the strategy that you're applying is buying $1. You're buying a stock for $1 and you're holding it for 30 years to come. If we take a look at 30 years, so the last 30 years, we're talking about the last 30 years, so 2020, so 1990, since we're talking about 30 years, when we take a look at the last 30 years of our current lives, okay? 1990 up till 2020. It's actually 30 years and a half since we're in the middle of 2020. But if we take a look at these numbers, what you will see is it's over 9.11% on average. So yeah, even with the drops in 2008, even if the 0% of 2011, we still have a nice average per year of 9.11% of growth, which is a great thing, okay? This is why so many people, the moment we refer to investing your money, we always talk about the Index 500. That's a great way to measure your own growth when investing. Now we're gonna go and talk about the strategy, about buying and holding. If we take a look at the strategy here, the thing is actually we put in $1 and you have a certain interest rate, of course, that growth. And let's pretend that we're using 7%. Okay, we're using 7% of growth over time. So after a year, your dollar, your initial dollar is $1.7. Since you don't do anything with it, you just wait, okay? So you just wait. So the year after, you get another 7% over the initial total amount, $1.07. And that's how it grows over time. That's buying and holding. But like you saw on those numbers, we've got years that we make 28%. Let me just grab a color. So we've got years that make 28% in growth, and we've got years that we make a loss. We make a loss of 38%, which is horrible for your dollar, of course. If you would see your dollar, 38% would disappear, that would mean you just only have 60 cents left, okay? This is what is the difference in our strategy. So what have I always done in my own strategy is every time you make a win on the market, even if you're only buying and holding, you got to understand like this, my strategy. So they always say investing your money is like putting your money in a money prison. You just put it in a prison, leave it there, and just wait until the sentence is over, 30 years, and then take it out. That's buying and holding. But in my case, what I always teach my students always is, although it's a money prison, so this would be your money prison, okay? And your dollar has the freedom to go anywhere in the room it wants to. You can do whatever it wants to. It can grow, but it has the freedom in the space it has. Yes, that sounds a bit weird. We'll get to that in a bit. Instead of only buying and holding, I buy and I sell. Every time I make a profit, I take it out. So the moment you make a profit, you sell. Every time you don't make a profit, so the moment your stock is dropping, leave it in. Leave it in until you make a profit again, then sell. Every time when it multiplies, even maybe with a 10% maybe, sell it. Don't wait until it reaches the 28%. No need to wait for that. Every time it makes a 10% profit, sell. Very simple. Every time it makes a profit, sell. Take the money out, put it back in. Like I said, it's a prison. You're not taking it completely out. You're not withdrawing all your money, all your principal. You're not withdrawing everything. No, you're taking the money out of the stock, buying it back in. The moment you make 10% profit, sell it. Every time you make a profit, you sell. Every time you make a loss, leave it in. Don't worry, time will take care of it. Like you saw on the S&P 500, if you just let it wait, it'll accumulate over time. The moment you make a profit, 10%, sell. The moment it's making a loss, leave it in. I'm going to show you a list that over the past so many years, we've got the S&P going up and down. Don't worry about that. Even the graph, if you take a look at that, even the graph will show you, hey, this is a bull market. Hey, this is a bear market. Don't worry about that. That'll just come up and down. Your job is to buy, hold, but also sell. That's very, very important. Tell yourself, set a certain strategy. If you want to be more aggressive, set the 10%, maybe to 15%, maybe to 20%. That's the aggressive style that you can apply. If you want to play safe, sure, make it 5%. That's what you should tell yourself. This is my strategy. Since we're talking about the money prison here, really got to understand you put your money in and leave it there for the sentence to be over. So that could absolutely be 30 years. So if you use your $1 and you put that in and you're going to use your money, every time your $1 makes a 10% profit, sell it off. And then, of course, you have $1.10. Do the same thing. Invest the $1.10. The moment it makes 10% profit, sell it off. All of a sudden, what is that? The $1, 10% is 11 cents.
1 hour later.
$1.21. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, and that's correct because we're talking about dollars. But it has grown twice, 10%. Now, yes, I get that you're like, hey, wow, but I could get 28% if I wait a little longer. Absolutely. But you could also have lost if the stock would all of a sudden drop to 38%. Then you would have lost your initial investment of $1.01 or 10 cents. This is how you should start getting your stocks in. Buying and holding, and in between, selling with a strategy. Very, very important. And this is how, I don't call it money prison. I always tend to call it money detention. And why do I call it money detention? Well, it stays in there for a while and then you're allowed out. The moment you come back to school, you're getting detention. And then you're back to work. This is how you can get your money back to work. And you can set your brokerage account by selling it off every time the moment it reaches a certain threshold of 10%, sell it off, and then buy using the same amount of money. That's as simple as that. And this is how you can grow your money even faster. You don't have to wait the full 30 years for your $1 to turn into 10, but you're only selling off when having a profit. You leave it in the moment you make a loss, which is totally fine. And this is my story today for you, okay? This is how you can make your $1 into 10. Hey, thank you very much for watching today's video. If you liked the video, be sure to hit that like button because that's what YouTube likes very much. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified every time a new video comes out, be sure to hit that notification bell as well. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope this has helped you in your investing journeys. Happy investing, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.